Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared the rules of negotiation with Hamas have changed. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That's right, Gordon. Netanyahu announced Israel will continue its military assault on the terror group and that the hostage talks will be held, quote, under fire. CBN's Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
Netanyahu announced the new rule is designed to achieve the goals of the war.
The release of all our hostages, the elimination of Hamas, and the promise that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel.
Israel's message to Hamas, unless more hostages are released, the attacks won't stop.
And if it does not immediately release all the kidnapped men and women, the gates of hell will open, and it will find the full might of the IDF in the air, at sea, and on land facing it until it is completely destroyed.
Yet some freed hostages and families of those still held captive are begging Israel to stop the fighting, fearing Hamas's threat to kill the hostages in revenge.
Reality has already proven to us that war will not return hostages. It will kill them.
Netanyahu insists Israel's military action has forced the terror group to release 196 hostages.
A simple thing was proven. Military pressure is a necessary condition for the release of additional hostages. The military attack on Hamas and the release of our hostages are not contradictory goals. They're goals that are intertwined.
While the fighting resumes, Netanyahu is urging Palestinian civilians to flee the fighting.
And I call on the people of Gaza, get out of harm's way, move to safer areas, because every civilian casualty is a tragedy.
To prevent civilian casualties, the IDF provided a map to residents in Gaza to guide them safely from the fighting.
That's something that the Western world hasn't seen, an army giving up the element of surprise just to give an opportunity to the civilians to get out of harm's way. But we're committed to that. That's our principles, our values, is to make sure that we are fighting terrorists and not civilians.
In Yemen on Tuesday night, the Houthis fired a missile at an Israeli military base and promises more are coming. Earlier this week, the White House said any shot fired by the Houthis would be counted as a shot from Iran, the Houthis' main backer. On Tuesday, the Trump administration repeated that warning.
Our message to Iran is you better take this president seriously, and I think the Houthis learned that the hard way this past weekend.
In their Tuesday phone call dealing with peace in Ukraine, President Trump and Russian President Putin also discussed the Middle East. A readout of the call says the two leaders shared the view that Iran should never be in a position to destroy Israel. They agreed Iran should not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons, weapons that could be used to destroy Israel. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Are miracles real? Let's investigate.
A lot of skeptics will say, well, miracles are impossible. Why? Because they violate the laws of nature. You can't violate the laws of nature.
I looked at my hand that was clutched. I said, hand move.
We got the 21-25.
Hallelujah! He's dead. It's over. I said, shock him one more time.